border security investigative reporter for TV, radio, and print media. And Kimberly covers the news with an outside Beltway perspective. Her experience as an investigating journalist ranges from national security issues like Gitmo's, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed 9/11 trial, immigration, and foreign policy. She is the correspondent for CW6 News of San Diego, as well as One America News Network. Kimberly, are you streaming as we speak?
Yes, I am. You can go to Periscope, or if you go on Twitter and you have a Twitter handle, you can check me out on Twitter, and I'm streaming live from Washington, D.C.
You're in Washington, D.C. Again, you have spent a lot of time there, and that's good because you're the lady on the spot. But I don't know if you've heard my newscast, but I've got to ask Kimberly. San Diego got this funky Taylor Whitney.
Yep.
And I figure you probably know it because number one, he's Republican. Number two, is because he's a multi-millionaire.
Yeah. Well, I think,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know him personally. I think that it's safe to bet on this one that he's a rhino, Republican name only. It's not unprecedented, sadly, that people live in the district in which they run. In fact, that's something that the former presidential candidate Hillary Clinton did well. Never lived in New York, but she ran for Senate up in New York, bought a home up there, and went on to be the senator for the state of New York. It's something that, yeah. Well, it's also something too that, I'm not a huge baseball fan, sorry. But it's also something that, Mary Landrieu did of New Orleans area in Louisiana, and she actually lost her seat. The last election in 2016, she was defeated. It's not uncommon for a number of these representatives to live outside their district before they run. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know that Mitt Romney's making another run for Senate, or a run for Senate in Utah, but I know that he lives in La Jolla and he lives in Massachusetts. So I don't know how he gets to be the governor of Massachusetts and now he gets to be senator from Utah. I mean, I understand that the laws permit these people to run in other states, but one would hope that the residents or the constituents in this case would actually want their people that are representing them in Washington to be from the area and know what they need.
Yeah, he even spent $7.5 million in 2016 trying to run for mayor of New York.
Yeah.
Unsuccessful.
Yeah.
So here he comes on the ballot for Senate in California, Senate in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one other quick thing here before we get your excellent report. There's another story, and you guys talk about immigration a lot, and this one is in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
A grocery store in San Diego subjecting Hispanic employees to harassment and hostile work environment. They implemented a no Spanish language policy yesterday, according to officials. Now, the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission talked about the alleged store managers in Alberton and wonderful chicken fried last month. The workers were largely for speaking Spanish around non-Spanish speakers, even during break. But here's the part I don't believe. While we're talking to Spanish-speaking customers, that's an advantage for them, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But anyway, Alberton is not going to comment and said that it does not require employees to speak English only. So apparently, I think it's a couple of just started and they went all with the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission and got somebody that was apparently.
Yeah, well, I mean, and this is the case, throughout the country, and most Americans, if you're born and raised here, you're not fluent in Spanish, and you go out. I mean, you go to different workplace environments, and a lot of employees will say, "Gosh, we were talking about something or other, and these few people broke off and started speaking Spanish. Were they talking about me? Were they talking negatively about the country?" So, I mean, you're seeing, bosses want to be able to, provide the exact same rights for every single employee. So if it's not this is America, for crying out loud. If we're not going to enforce our English laws, then again, we're going down the path of no return. And California is, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Here we go. First up, former Secretary of State John Kerry argued that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu essentially laid out the case for the Iran nuclear deal during a presentation alleging that Iran was developing weapons in secret. And of course, every detail that Netanyahu presented was every reason the world came together to apply years of sanctions and negotiate that Iran nuclear deal because the threat was real and had to be stopped. Kerry tweeted, "It's working," Kerry added. If the Obama-era agreement. That's why Israel's security experts are speaking out. Well, speaking of the experts, here's the second one. Mossad agents nuclear files out of Iran went to the authorities on their tail, and they said it displayed a trove of documents in a presentation aimed at preventing a further test that Iran has lied about its covert atomic weapons program.
Yeah.
God, just believe that Larry said we're going to believe it. What in the world was that all about?
Yeah, actually, it's pretty funny. The president just spoke in Dallas at the NRA convention, and he actually mentioned John Kerry in his speech. It was he was talking. Yes, he did. He was talking about the worst deal that was ever made. You know, being the Iranian deal, as the president sees it. And he said that he had no idea what was going on, why he would continue to support this. Maybe it had something to do with him entering a bicycle race at 73 and falling off his bike and breaking bones. And the president stopped for a moment, looked at the camera, and said, "I learned something from this. Never ever enter a bicycle race when you're 73 years old." So, of course, it was a kind of an easy way to kind of open up the room, and everybody had a good deal. And of course, he retorted with, "I'm not 73. I'm just putting it out there." So, but in any event, yeah, we're seeing the Obama administration continue to support the Iranian deal, and parts of the Iranian deal are good. However, there are multiple parts of this Iranian deal, especially with the money that is now going back to the Iranian regime, in which they're participating in a number of proxy wars throughout the Middle East. So they can kind of sponsoring terrorism, and they're saying that they're helping the Assad regime develop weapons inside Syria, which really complicates matters there. And we have the Israelis who are bringing out another treasure trove of documents. So we're going to have to wait and see what the international community is wanting to do on this. I know the president wants to terminate this, but this is the reason we had France's leader here, why we had Angela Merkel here in the United States, why we had the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia here in this country. They're all here because of this Iranian deal, and they're all vying for their part in who's going to determine the future of the Middle East. And I think that quietly we're not hearing anything about Turkey, but Turkey's a NATO ally, so they're obviously going to have a lot of pull within the region. And the reason that this is all important is because whenever we look at the Middle East, you can go back centuries, it always comes down to Sunni versus Shia. And they're just a different religion. And they're always going to fight one another. And the Iranians are Shia, and they're Persian, and they naturally ally with Western countries, and they've been taken over, and they've been run by the mullahs for the last almost 40 years, and they're going to go through regime change, as we've talked about on your show many times now. And what we have to hope for is that they're going to choose the right leaders, so they don't go into something like what Egypt did when they had the Muslim Brotherhood come in. And we don't have unrest that way. But I think with the Iranian deal, the core of the Iranian deal, I think a lot of it you're going to see stay in place. You're going to see countries, the EU, which is much closer to Iran than we are, and would have to face the consequences much earlier than the United States. I think the president's going to let them kind of, honor the deal as best they can, but the United States is not going to be a part of this moving forward. It just seems to me that he wants to be on the side of the protesters. He wants to be on the side of the young people, and he wants them to have some sort of transition from the mullahs and the regime into some sort of democracy, the best kind of democracy that the Middle East is capable of. And I think that you're going to see it going to go towards something like maybe a Turkey kind of government, where it's kind of midway between democracy and, you know, running by the clerics. So there's a lot of changes, but I mean, the nuclear play is a card that these countries are using over there. And then you got to, you know, keep in mind too, with North Korea, you know, if we're able to go in and the president's able to negotiate a deal, you know, and denuclearize the Korean Peninsula, now the focus is going to be over on the Middle East, going, okay, well, we've done this here, so what are we going to do with you down there? So you've got people rushing all over, saying, gosh, what's going to happen? Are we going to have to, like, completely crumble and fall? Are we going to, you know, get our feet dug in here in the sand? Is there going to be another red line, and this president actually enforces red lines? There's a lot in play, and I think right now all eyeballs are on the North Korean possible deal, because that's going to be, you know, coming up. That's going to, you know, kind of dictate what's going to happen around the world with Trump's foreign policy. Exactly what you're talking about. Yep. I know who you're talking about. He's the leader of the Quds Force, the Iranian National Guards. It's Soleimani, and he, you know, the Obama did nothing. But this, yeah. No, but this but this is the, and I actually reached out to the ambassador here in the United States on this issue, because I was a little concerned that, you know, the president then Obama was allowing this person just to freely travel around the Middle East and, you know, make his way to Moscow. And the way the deal was written, so this is something I think the American people misunderstood. I certainly thought that it had more teeth than it did, but this actually highlights the fact that this deal had no teeth. This agreement was made between the United States and Iran, so it was only binding for the United States and Iran. So Europe didn't sign on to that, Russia didn't sign on to that, China didn't sign on to that. So if they weren't signed on to that deal, then that meant this person could travel freely, despite what President Obama had dictated. So this is where we see that the deal actually had no teeth. And they, you know, that was like a big contention that the Republicans made. They said, okay, well, this is a deal. I mean, this should have been a treaty. This would have worked out a lot better had it been a treaty. But of course, that requires 2/3 of a vote in the Senate, which they never had. And so this was more of an executive order type deal. And those kind of conditions we did not learn about until literally the day after, when Soleimani, who runs the, I guess, you know, the Iranians, you know, head of their terrorist organization, you know, this man traveled freely up to Moscow. He traveled he continues to travel around the Middle East. I mean, and Iran is in a whole bunch of proxy wars in Yemen and in Syria, and the U.S. is really doing nothing about it, because they can do nothing about it, because this deal, as President Trump calls it, was the worst deal ever made. So there was no teeth. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and this is also what we have with, in North Korea. Today, apparently 3 people that are held hostage in North Korea were released. Well, the president hasn't gone to North Korea to sit down to talk to Kim Jong-un just yet. So is he, possibly taking, releasing those people off the table? I think that's how a country like the United States, that's how we ought to get to the negotiating table. Okay, how about in good faith? We know you can't, you're not a huge player on the world scene, you don't have a lot of money, your country's in a lot of trouble, but we need a good faith measure from you. We need proof of life. We need you to show us that you're really coming to the table to negotiate and not just dilly-dally around and pull our chains. Let's release some hostages. Why don't you send back 3 of ours? The United States continues to let, under Obama that kind of stopped under President Trump, but, let all these people out of Gitmo and traded the Taliban 5 back to, to Saudi Arabia basically. And these people have gone, 5, things to the wind. And these were like people who were the financiers of terrorism. So these were very important people inside the terrorist organization. Obama freed 5 of these people off. And so I think that the United States has operated from such a level of weakness that other countries just felt they could take advantage of us. That's really kind of stopped cold turkey. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, it was kind of like a lead by passivity, I guess. He was a very passive leader in this sense, but he also was taken in because, neither of us were sitting in the room with the president when he was negotiating with the Ayatollahs over there in Iran. But I'm pretty sure they probably said, hey, you release this money back to us and we're going to rebuild some schools, we're going to build roads, we're only going to use this money for our people, our country is in shambles, we need, we're going through a man-made drought and President Obama, please, just trust us, we're going to make good use of this money. And of course, once everything is released and all that, they don't follow through on it. So this is kind of like another red line. They promised something. They backed out of it, and President Obama's like, oh, well, I guess that's just the way it goes. Maybe we'll do a better job next time, but that's okay. And I think that's what Democrats are really upset about right now, not about Obama. What they're upset with Trump is when you look at his foreign policy, I think everybody thought he was going to be good on the domestic front, but he's turned to foreign policy and actually aggressively taking hold of it and doing some good things. And along the way, he's undoing all of Obama's major pacts with these countries that, really ought to just fall in line with the rest of the world. And I think we're going to see, I don't know about the Nobel Peace Prize and how all that comes about, but you're seeing President Trump actually get to the table with a country that we haven't been to the table with. And you're seeing, you're just seeing a much more adept foreign leader, I think, that people, at least on the left, want to admit.
In my opinion, what gives me more credit is that Trump doesn't get the biggest thing possible for a president.
Yeah.
And saying that it's all, well, it's the North Korea leaders that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Russia, what we're talking about the plan, you go anywhere else. The people are not brainwashed as much as they are North Korea.
I think, yeah, yeah. Well, you know what I kind of wanted to, we're talking about the Iranian situation. I think that, we need to, all step back and allow President Trump to work his magic, get his people in. I mean, and he's still waiting for people to be appointed and going through the process in the Senate, and that's Mitch McConnell's slow walking all of Trump's appointees. But I think that, he has a different leadership style. And I think that if he's able to pull off this North Korea deal, and if they're able to finally, technically, that South Korea is still at war with North Korea. They haven't even, ceased, they haven't even ended that war. It's been like 50, 60, 70 years, whatever it is, 50, 60 years. And so if he's able to, get an end to that war officially, and if he's able to kind of get some sort of peace process where the North and the South are communicating, and we're able to nuclearize the entire region there, then that's a huge win. Nobody's been wanting to, get in the middle of that because it's kind of a no-win for a lot of reasons. People will say that, look, if we go there, we've got 50, 60,000 American soldiers sitting on the border there. Those people would most certainly be casualties. Many people consider them targets. So it's something. And right now it's like they go along every couple of years, and North Korea huffs and puffs and does something, and the U.S. taxpayer gives them a couple $1 billion, and they quiet down and go away. And I think that the president is saying, that's not my style. I'm not going to go. I didn't come here to go along to get along. I'm going to come and I'm going to actually make a real effort to get some sort of peace, some sort of resolution. Bring them to the table. Allow them, again, this is what we've talked about with Iran, take them from being an axis of evil country and let's make them an ally. Because when people, in the country, you said it's a very closed society, which is true. But if you wanted to open it up, the internet, literally overnight, the internet could open up that country, and the people that live there, yeah. There's plenty of dictators all over the world, and we do business with them. The founding fathers did not want us to get involved in foreign entanglements. We said, we should trade with everybody, not take anybody off the table, because once you close that communication, then you lose it. And I think that this here would be something where people could actually, definitely be a slow process. But with the internet, people that live in that country, if their eyes are open to what's going on around the world, they're going to go, oh my gosh. So I think there's a real chance here. It's not 100%, I'd say 50-50, but if anybody can do it, who do you think can do it? Obama or Trump? Yeah. 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 No. But it's a funny way that can be something that brings people out of the dark ages, and in that case, literally the dark ages.